All right, there you go. I don't know why my mic was muted on this page specifically, I guess. I don't know. But hey, what's going on, you guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic start of your weekend. But we got some stuff. I got some stuff that I want to talk about today. Yeah, of course, the window alien core. Okay, small PP. I see you there, bro. all right. So today, what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about something that has kind of really flown under the radar for the longest time. Or just recently, I guess I should say recently here. So let me go to the commentary section here. Yo, what's up, brown man? So what I got right here is, of course, this is we're actually gonna start on this one right here. Mods, please. Mod. Flyly, what's up, small PP? So I was told by someone today, you gotta see the shit. Like, you gotta actually see the shit. Like, I was like, what is it? What is it? Hold on. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna how do I hold on? Shit. There you go. All right. I made it so you guys can't talk for every 2 minutes. So if you guys are gonna keep doing that shit, I don't see shit. What do you mean? Bullshit. I'm staring at the same fucking stream. All right. All right. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get back into this. So, someone told me I should check out what's going on with Jim Stephine Sterling. I'm like, well, what the fuck is going on? So I had to I had someone take a look into it for me, and they're telling me this is some really heavy shit. So I just chose one of the random tweets that had the same response from it, which was from Inwas in Port Hudding, of course. It says a fun little story you might be interested in. Jim Stephine Sterling. I'm trying not to be disrespectful about it, but fired his editor and declared him to be an abuser on their Patreon because the editor asked for a higher salary after making him move across the country. So I just kind of sat there, was like, wait, what? Because like for those a lot of people who don't know, like most of the bigger YouTubers nowadays have editors who get their shit in from like airdrop and fucking emails and everything, and they do everything wirelessly, right? Like for example, if I remember correctly, one of Jacksepticeye's editors is actually in the United States, so Jack always has to send something new over to like their like the Google Cloud or whatever cloud system that they use. I don't even know what any cloud system that actually can render a 4K video without it being like all ass cheeks and all that. So I went ahead and got the response here. So we're going to go ahead and take a look into it. So I'm going to go open up a new tab here. There you go. We're gonna start here. So, as many of you know, I am no longer working with James Stephine Sterling in any capacity. They recently posted a statement on their Patreon. We're gonna get to their Patreon in a second because I want to hear his side of the story first. Because there's a lot more words into it, and I just kind of just sat there, was like, okay, well, they seem to have a more detailed aspect of this. So let's keep on reading. They recently posted a statement on their Patreon listing the reasons why, or at least their side of it. Complaints of emotional and financial abuse from me. I truly sound like the most ungrateful employee in existence who worked for the most righteous and innocent person ever created. I'm sure they worked very carefully on that statement as well. I mean, I like I said, we're gonna read her statement here. James Stephine Sterling's statement here in just a second. I've been thinking about this statement, and I would need to write for the last week. I have waited for them to write a post saying that I was no longer working for the show. I had no idea that they would attempt professionalism or begin complaining about me to others the exact same way that apparently abused them. It appears like the latter. So the way I'm reading it right now, it sounds like when this gentleman, Justin McDaniel, when they were asked to come work on videos for Jim Stephine Sterling. I mean, Jim at the time, you know, you could sit there and just wonder, like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what suddenly changed? Now, I could see where, like, you know, over time certain things have developed and turn everything into kind of like a good innocent, like, boss turned to like a mean cold-hearted boss, like something like that. I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of people have said that that in specifically Europe, for most of the time, because James Stephine Sterling was in the middle of transitioning their life from the US, which they were based at for I think about 8 or 9 years, back to the UK, which it takes a process. It does take a process for it. And also the being a transgendered person, which I could also understand that from like an emotional perspective. It does take a lot out of you. I mean, I've seen many famous people go through the transition and their documentation, just talking about, also just like people that I know in my real life that have done this stuff before. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like you could empathize with them and see, like, try to understand better what they say and what they're doing. Anyway, so they're gonna, so right now, as we read a little bit more, I could say, I think Justin McDaniel came into this working agreement, you know, thinking like, okay, this person's gonna be fair. This person's gonna be Jim Stephine Sterling is gonna be fair, is gonna fight for me, is gonna give me the money that I actually deserve for doing this type of editing. Because let me tell you something right now, working on those types of videos that Stephanie Sterling does for the longest time, it takes like not even a week, sometimes sometimes at best maybe a week to work on, if it's a current topic. But if it's a topic that kind of rears its ugly head every couple months, it's kind of like one of those like, okay, you know what? I could put this on the filter. Boom, done. All right, next. Um, and for those who actually do still follow James Stephanie Sterling, and I do still, because there's some things that they haven't changed their stance on since I followed them when they were on the co-optional podcast with the late great Total Biscuit. Um, they really have optimal opinions of the business, uh, gaming journalism, and also just, I mean, at times there's some things that I don't agree with necessarily, but I get their viewpoint because they're just trying to get the point across. Like, hey, look, this isn't it, Chief. Like, this isn't it at all. Um, But anyway, we're gonna get right into it. So let's see here. I started working with James Stephanie Sterling in a full capacity in March of 2017. I agreed to start at $1,500 a month because it was the average income I was making at a retail job at the time. The reason they offered me the job was because that retail job was consistently changing hours and they'd be messaging me for help with projects, and I had to say no. So when they offered me the position as art director, they said that the goal was to pay was paying to have access to my skills whenever they needed. They told me when I started about how there would be growth. Notably, they told me that every year I would be getting a raise. I gotta get that second one. That's not how it that's not how they came to word it over the years. Originally, I didn't even edit the Jimquisition and related podcasts. I was simply asked to simply be on standby, and whenever they needed help with the project, I could jump on my computer and hop to it. I would create strange little images and make physical props like the cornflakes Humuniculus. I don't know how to pronounce that. Humuculus mask, and various graphic designs for works like redeveloping the website. Whenever they weren't asking me for help, I kept busy trying to come up with more ways to contribute. Eventually, after editing a few podcast episodes when Laura was out, I was asked if they would like me to just take over editing these. Might as well, since I was hired to be on the clock regardless of work. Once that happened, I began editing all of those, including spin-off Doctors and eventually Boston's Favorite Son. The podcast had a reputation for them constantly interrupting each other, mostly due to the lag, which immediately stopped when I began editing, as I would spend long hours moving audio to make it sound as legible and natural as possible. So I this is the first time I'm even aware that there was other than the Jimquisition and the Jimquisition podcast. This is the first time I'm actually understanding that there's more projects with under the Jimquisition name. So I've heard of Spin Doctors before. I wasn't too much of a big fan of the Spin Doctors podcast. I mean, it's fine. I don't know. I just feel like this was kind of like one of those like the way that I see it is just like they hired him to do like, hey, we don't need you all the time, but if we need you, we'll call you. Like that kind of stuff. I mean, I would still honestly, I would honestly get a part-time job for it. Like I would still do the job at hand for them, and like give them, like, help them create ideas for videos and that still, because like, you know, I mean, they're paying you to be creative, be a creative person on the job. So I guess you could say in that sense You're just paid to be a person to fill in whenever someone is out. Like obviously, Laura was out. Uh, they edited. Justin McDaniel just was asked to like, hey, can you edit all these podcasts? And then eventually, hey, can you do this? Can you do all these big O projects in one shot for us? And that's constantly getting him on the job. So I mean, like, he got the thing that he wanted, which was to do more work for Jim Stephine Sterling, and all the other people in the Jimquisition team. And that should be good. Like that should be good, right? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, after some time, I asked if they wanted me to edit the gameplay videos, Jimpressions, and the soon Jimquisition. Within 2 years, I was editing almost everything, in addition to whatever else they asked me to help with. Many of those things did not involve work at all. After the separation, their separation with their ex, I was frequently their go-to driver. I drove them around the state and other states for wrestling shows, many of which I would also film and record for them. I would drive them to doctor's appointments, getting them their citizenship completed, and more. I was getting paid for full-time hours, so why not? I mean, honestly, if you're driving more than like, if you're doing more work than what you should be hired for, like, honestly, that should be oh wait, hold on. Why not? Open new tab. There you go. So, I think honestly, once you're adding on stuff that isn't like in the normal circumstances of a job, so to speak, like picking up your boss, taking him to wrestling shows, outside of office work that you're specifically asked to do, and just like recording stuff still for them. Like, I mean, there's still some stuff like, Jim Sterling does wrestle. Stephanie Sterling, they wrestle. They're really good. I like to point that out. They're actually very good for a wrestler that just started really picking up things. So I mean, that's cool. Like, I'm just saying that as a just outside of the topic at hand. I mean, I still think that's cool. So that full-time job began being described less as full-time by them. The more things that were added to my workload, namely when the time would come around to discuss my expected raise. The first year was straightforward, with a $100 bump to $1,600 a month. It's not a ton of money, but it was more than I have been making. And at the time, I was splitting finances with my then wife. The next year, however, started a new trend where there will always be a reason. There was always a reason for why I couldn't get an increase in pay. Finances from their exes, of course, from their split were messy, surprises with taxes being dropped on them, and of course, moving across the country. I did not complain at first. I understood the reasons. I knew they were dealing with stuff. Sure, it didn't stop them from making extravagant purchases for themselves, but I tried to look past that. They were my friend, of course, so of course they were gonna look out for me. This is James Stephine Sterling, champion of the people. They wouldn't intentionally exploit me, so I waited another year for a discussion of raise. But at this point in my own life had taken a turn. I was going through my own expensive divorce, full of fun financial surprises. So it seems like, okay, so he got the pay raise. The pay raise was up to $1,600 a month, which, I mean, like, in terms of like your entry level editor, that's really good. Like that's really good. If you're doing stuff for like a corporation and all that, but not like on the full-time basis. Now, like if it was on the full-time basis, I would probably sit there and go like 2,200 a month. Yeah, of course. They're doing stuff for me that I would do for anyone if I was on a full-time basis. But you know, now they're talking about excuses and everything like that. And let's keep in mind, James Stephine Sterling has been very hard on these AAA. Oh wait, no, I gotta say it like how they say it on the show. AAA video games. They gotta say it like they have a say in, like, you know, like your employees don't deserve crunch. Why are you whipping these people and telling them to do A, B, and C when you should be actually doing D? You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't be doing that. Like you should be only expecting them to do A, B, and if they are done with their work and they need a little extra to kind of like, you know, get more hours, then yeah, maybe throw in a C here and there. But that's not it, Chief. Like there's a reason why, like, I have a very heavy respect for people who make games that are very time consuming, but when it comes out, it's a very good piece of artwork. I know a lot of people are trying to shit on currently right now the Wizard game. The Wizard game. But I give them credit for delaying the game a couple times because they wanted to make sure that they got their I's and T's crossed. Like when they realized that, you know, hey, there was some things in that project that wasn't going to happen at all, wasn't going to work. They adapted to the situation and said, okay, what's the longest window that we can afford at the moment? And I think the last time they delayed the game, which was to the current date, which was the beginning of last month, it was over like trying to get the art direction correct. Which, I mean, honestly, when you look at that game, and I'm still doing a review of it right now, I'm in the details of writing the script and everything. It's a really fucking good looking game. Like, I really do mean that. So let's see here. Where was I? And the fact that now that they're struggling with their own like significant other situation, with surprise taxes and all that fun stuff when separating from your exes, especially in a marriage, it's really it's a really bad situation. So but anyway, at the end of 2009, they told me that they were leaving Mississippi for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in February 2020. They asked if I would come along and stay in their place for a while I got set up in my own place. The plans were not to stay together long, but but who could expect a global pandemic to start right as you move across the country? It was a scary prospect for me, and as someone who has lived in Mississippi their whole life, but they gave me some reassurances. They could stay with me for free, and once we get set up, they would catch up on my raises, as well as just my income for the increased cost of living. Philadelphia is noticeably pricier to live than the majority of Mississippi. So let's see. Open that one up. So I packed my bags, got ready to move, and I keep finding ways to help out. I was looking up moving companies for them, all of which cost thousands of dollars. The cheapest I found at the time was $1,500. It would take over a month to bring the stuff from Mississippi to Philly. I told them that they could save money and we could rent a U-Haul and drive it up ourselves, which of sort was what happened. We rented the U-Haul, but they flew up early to appear at a wrestling show, so I loaded all my stuff and everything they owned into the U-Haul myself and drove it across the country. I felt like saving them possibly thousands of dollars should help balance out the non-cost of me staying in their place for a few months. I mean, I gotta give Justin all the credit where credit's due. You're doing something that is highly unselfish of you to do. Like if I was sitting there and they're getting ready to get this U-Haul ready so we could put our stuff in and then their stuff in, I would be sitting there going like, hey, I know you want to go do this wrestling thing, but I rather you get prepared for this move and actually make sure you got your stuff in the proper place in the proper ways. Let's just do this drive together. That's and most of the time I think most people have no problem with that. But you're talking about a YouTuber. You're talking about a YouTuber that who's a little. I'll be very honest. The only criticism I always have of Jim Stephine Sterling is that they have a little bit of a narcissist moment when they don't get their way, so to speak, or they talk about certain topics that are they're very passionate about. It's a stubbornness, I guess, in that way, you know. And wrestling, like pro wrestling, I will say this because uh I've known people in my life that who've actually trained and wrestled in professional wrestling rings before, you know, did shows and everything. Like uh one of them, of course, Jake Lander, who wrestled in GCW. They told me like it's something about wrestling that they can't put a finger on. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't put a finger on uh being in the moment. You're in a fight, granted a scripted fight, but that's neither here or there. Um, and you're entertaining a crowd. I can understand that a whole lot, you know. And I always think about this in terms of Jim Stephanie Sterling when they used to talk about games on the Co-Optional podcast. They always talk about games that they feel like, you know, this game has really captured my heart and this is why, you know, it's like the gaming art style, the controls are easy to play with, you do certain abilities with this, you do A, B, and C and D, and then right before you could get to Z you got to do all these other things. The only downside of this game is this, blah 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 blah. And you know, that's the unfortunate thing, you know. Like I, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it unless they were gonna come along and help me. Like if I was moving, I was if I was moving by myself, uh, and also moving other people's stuff, I would have the expectation of, hey, I know you're big and popular and you have this booking. Can you see if you can move that booking to like the next month? Or just like say like, hey, I'm gonna need a little bit of time. Is it okay if we can do this another month? Like I'll take a discount at this rate. Most places do that. Like PWA, like the organization that is in my town. We had Kevin Nash scheduled for an autograph session and a Q&A thing. So what they and that was when he got sick. He got sick, and then that was when, unfortunately, you know, Scott Hall was about to pass away, and that was a really dark time for, I think, not only me but for like for Kevin Nash, but also for a lot of fans. So they just told him, hey, look, uh if you want to take your time off, go ahead. We'll still keep you booked we'll like book you another month. Whenever you have availability, just let us know. And from what I was told, he he appreciates so much that he actually took his it took a third off of his booking rate. And because he was actually at another show like a couple of hours away from where I live, they actually he waived the I think it was like a couple $100 travel fee, because some big time wrestlers that who have done the big shows and everything, they'll actually ask you like, hey, can you pay for like travel and everything like that. He waived that off. That's why I actually give respect to the big man. He is definitely one of the good brothers, for sure. um Anyway, it wasn't until August of 2020 I was able to finally able to move out, during during which time during that time, he should have said that time, we switched to a new apartment building, since they have gotten an apartment without actually having it checked out, and had many issues, which meant breaking the lease to go to a more expensive place. I managed to find a place that was not great, but it was cheap and I could afford it. Besides, they were going to increase my pay after all. Once I moved out, the reasons began again. They couldn't afford it after all. I had just moved into a cheap apartment that was still over half of my income, grocery and utility bills on the rise. But they had financial issues. This is where I would just sit there and go like, okay, if I'm making it, if I'm James Stephine Sterling, and I'm sitting there, I got this guy hired, and I'm not bouncing my books. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and go, well, I'm just gonna keep him along. I'm just gonna tell him like, oh, there's been some issues. We're gonna get this done, and we're gonna get this done. No, I would just simply say, hey, look, man. Honestly, I don't know if I can afford to pay you that same amount. If you want, I could hire you on a per situation basis, um to do like the gymquisition, and then I could help you find other jobs in the Philadelphia area, do that, awesome. That type of stuff. But that's not what they did. They just sat there and was like, well, I'm having financial issues myself. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm giving James Stephanie Sterling an Irishman's accent. I mean, top of the morning to you. Uh, it's St. Patrick's Day weekend, boys. Week. We're going for it. Uh, I was stressed out. I just signed for a lease for a place and becoming increasingly low on money fast. My ex-wife was making sure every financial burden we had together went onto my shoulders. If I wanted a simple divorce, I became stressed out, and I vented to about it to a then mutual friend. So, someone I was told I could trust repeatedly. I was freaking out about how could I afford to do this if I had made a mistake, and just become angry in general. Then proceed to tell my boss everything I've told them. So I would assume it's another person that who is working with them, that was working with them in the office, and eventually they were just like, hey, like, yeah, you could talk to me. You could trust me. It's like the Jake the Snake Roberts promo, because they're a wrestler after. I was like, look, you could trust me. All right, just listen to me. Listen very closely. Like, see, that's the reason why I like Jake the Snake, is because of that voice. That when he gets to a whisper, he doesn't have to yell, scream at you. He just has to tell you, let me tell you something right now. I'm just gonna bring a whisper right there. You're gonna hear it. All right, and you're gonna listen very carefully because of it. Let's see here. I was asked to come over to talk, where I was scolded for discussing this stuff behind their back. How dare an employee talk about their work life and pay? Am I right? They told me they would catch up on my yearly raises, and that would be the end of the conversation. That was also the last raise I ever got. No more yearly raises, no cost of living increase. I got $200 more, and I should be grateful. After all, I only work 2 days a week. That last thing came out of nowhere. See, apparently they decided some time ago that the only work I do was edit the Jimquisition and the Podquisition, and therefore I was paid more than enough. I wasn't a full-time employee suddenly, but a part-time worker, and an ungrateful one at that. And I wanted to break down that logic for a moment, since that is what they have highlighted in their own statement, which is $1,800 a month for 2 days of work. Let's say on average there are 4 weeks in a month, so 8 days work a month. That's $225 a day, or about $28.13 rounding up an hour. The assumption is for an 8-hour workday, though it was rarely only 8 hours of work. But let's leave it at that. $28.13 an hour is decent pay. Their starting rate for a video producer on average is $25 to $35. So sure, not the $30 to $40 they claim. That doesn't include that. That doesn't include that as an independent contractor. Why does that phrase follow? Why does that phrase follow so many different people that I know? It's independent contractors. It is a phrase that I hear so much from, like, WWE wrestlers being called independent contractor. People making references to independent contractor forms, like I think it's 1099. I think that's what it's called, a 1099. That is bonanza to me. That is absolute bonanza to me. The fact that they have to sit there and go, well, I'm only paying you for 2 days of work and 8 hours, and only 8 hours. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like crunch to me. That sounds like crunch. I don't even know how farther I could even go with just reading this statement by saying it's crunch. Like, they have the gall and criticisms to criticize all these AAA video games development studios that basically don't even pay they pay their employees well, but at the same time they tell them, hey, you gotta, in order to make this deadline, you're sometimes gonna have to pull out 80-hour work weeks. Like, there's people that I've heard from a lot of these big AAA games over the years that I've played. Like, for instance, Red Dead Redemption 2. I've heard about the stories of how many months out of the year before that game even came out that there was a period of crunch. Allegedly, there was over 300 hours of crunch. So that's basically putting on top of the regular work hours that you're supposed to be working as in terms of a healthy work environment. You're supposed to be working 8 hours a day. You're almost working 10 to 18 hours. If I did the math, that's almost 300 hours, and there's no overtime. There's no overtime. They just only pay. You're contracted to get paid for that salary, and they don't bust out of that salary. And that's the reason why I don't like anyone who uses an independent contractor agreement on wrestlers or film studios or anything like that, because that gives any studio or wrestling people the opportunity to basically take advantage of you, which is something that I highly disavow, and I highly think is absolutely disrespectful in not only humanity rights, but also workmen's rights. This is the Irishman really coming out of me. Okay, I'm being real here for a minute. I'm just being very, very real. And the fact that they still had to help pay for their own taxes for certain things, that really sucks. Like that really does suck. So we're gonna continue on this. If I was only working 2 days a week, see, if I was only getting paid for editing those two things in those 2 days, that means literally everything else I did for them was unpaid. None of the other podcasts, none of the other gameplay videos, and certainly none of the trips taking them everywhere in the past, those were all freebies suddenly. Because that's the thing that James Stephanie Sterling didn't think about. I was either one, an unpaid full-time worker, $11.25 an hour, $1,800 for 4 weeks, 40 hours a week, or a decently paid 2-day worker who wasn't paid for a lot of their work. That hurt. I was already hurt by the betrayal of trust from a supposed friend, and even more so from someone I was insured I could depend on when making the biggest change of my life. I pushed on, even as my new life in Philly was getting complicated with new additions that added an assload of stress and brand new financial burdens. I couldn't complain to my boss. They were struggling too. After all, it became harder to swallow when I'd go back to their apartment to help them with work. Apparently unpaid if it wasn't a Sunday or a Wednesday. And there would be some brand new expense purchase in their place. Some new giant statue, expensive furniture that I assumed for them, a bigger TV, etc. So yeah, they referenced it earlier. Justin referenced it earlier. James Stephanie Sterling does have a spending issue, and I don't know if that was like from some kind of trauma, from like when their significant other left them. Like, there's that saying, who wears the pants in the relationship. I feel like the significant other was wearing the pants of the relationship, honestly. Like, they did all the book work, they did everything. They basically kept James Stephanie Sterling on the fence, like on the fence. Now, like, some of some people may know that James Stephanie Sterling was very close to the late great Total Biscuit. And I really do love Total Biscuit. I always loved his criticisms and everything like that. So when I was recommended a creator in the YouTube algorithm at the time, this was a little bit before he passed. They recommend Jim Quisition was on. So I was like, okay, let me go check out this person. Like, okay, they're a pretty cool cat. Okay, let me go follow them. I followed them through, like, they were sued by a game developer who apparently, from my understanding, is still making games. Why is that a thing? Weren't they embarrassed enough by like one of the most like redundant things of getting exposed for like using game assets and everything like that? I mean, I you can't make it up. You can't make it up. So the fact that they were the last thing. Okay, so wait, hold on. Where's the new stuff? So yeah, I was just okay, there we go. So Um, so they're basically having a whole shouting match. They were angry. James Stephine was like, "Well, if you don't like it, tough titties, whatever." And so they responded with, so yeah, I was upset. I was freaking out about how I was gonna keep affording groceries every month, keep paying the bills, and dealing with the other financial surprises that kept popping up. Every now and then, I would mention something new stressed to my boss, and they say, "I'll send you a little cash to help you out." I gladly took it because I had no choice, but I would prefer to be paid what I was promised. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. This is really. Yeah. This is some really. This is pissing me off. Honestly, like if I was in their shoes, I too would be pretty upset about this. Um. But you can't do everything right, I guess. So the message so let's see the message they got recently was from two ex-friends. I won't go into details on them because they deserve their own respective privacy, but yes, I complained to them about my job too. I complained about my work, I complained about my pay, I complained about stuff. I was tired, I was stressed out, and I once again trusted people who said they could be trusted. I learned after a while that they weren't the people that I thought they were. Apparently, a year after us all blocking each other, they have decided to start sending messages to people I know complaining about me, namely telling my boss everything I said about them. So, like, I'm all for like getting it all out, but also at the same time, you're in this new area, you're in Philadelphia, you're not near family, you're not near anyone that really. Let's be real. And James W. Sterling is a popular creator. So people are gonna immediately befriend James W. Sterling because like no, they're not like they're not like Cameron Diaz, they're not like George Clooney, they're not like, Sheryl Crow. They're not that famous, but they're famous enough to where they could get a little group of friends immediately, like right then and there. And basically they could control the narrative like that. Well, let's see here. Open new image. There we go. Well, since James Stephane Sterling has decided that me talking about this to a handful of people, I'm triggered by this. Two, it should have just been two, not two. A handful of people in private deserves a public response smearing my name. Let me tell you who they are. James Stephane Sterling is a hypocrite. They have likened themselves as someone who fights for the defenseless and battles capitalism on a daily basis. This does not include their own employee. They're a champion of free speech who has multiple times made me delete tweets because they were worried it made them look bad. So they were also in charge of, I guess, the Jimquisition Twitter. The Jimquisition has proudly stated that people deserve to be treated with respect and properly credited, even as their work was I, and my work became we. As episode 300 and 400 of the Podquisition passed, everyone got called out for their help, except for the person spending his night untangling their nonsense. And for someone who was deeply offended at the idea of that I was bad mouthing them behind their back, they seem to have no issue doing the same to others. Whether getting angry at Laura and Conrad for talking over them constantly on the podcast, or the way that they've talked about Phoenix kids, which deeply made me uncomfortable, but I tried to go along. Apparently, it's fine to complain to me, but how dare I have my frustrations? How dare have I have my own issues and stress? Yes, the money they make from the Patreon isn't as much as when they finally gets to them. Taxes and fees cut that down, as well as paying people for their help. It's still more than I was making. At no point James Stephanie Sterling worried about how they were going to afford to eat, how they were going to be able to pay rent. No, they didn't have to worry about that. Just their employee. Like this is some ridiculous, like, I I sympathize with Justin here. This is some this is some really just cold-hearted shit. We're on the last one, and then we're gonna get to James Stephanie Sterling stuff here. But last Monday, I typed out a letter explaining to them I was quitting. I was tired of the way I was treated. I was tired of being left on the road and frequently ignored, whether it was about work or trying to have a conversation and stay friends with them. A friend of mine calmed me down and said I should take a moment to breathe, wait to talk to them later. The next day, James Stephanie Sterling called to fire me. I never slept better than I have since that phone call. For the first time in years, my stress has plummeted. I am free. I've been staying with family recently after moving out of Philly due to the rising costs, and have been putting back the majority of my paychecks anticipation. I don't know why I can't say words. I no longer have to deal with their anger management on sets, pouting, throwing things around if something broke the flow of filming, etc. No more hearing them complain about how hard life is for them while they fill their houses with toys and move countries just to date people. And maybe even the best of all, I never have to type the name Bobby Kotick into the Google image search ever again. Wow. Okay. Like, honestly, this is pretty. Like, just listening to the story, like, basically from their perspective, it just sounds like James Stephanie Sterling is just a piece of shit. They're a piece of shit person that doesn't understand the concept of taking care of their employees. Like, maybe employees that are yes men and can kiss their ass, but not employees that are going to be honest with you and tell you the truth. So they mentioned something earlier where they said Stephanie Sterling said something in response to the rumors of this happening. Well, they said it on their Patreon today. On March 1st at 8:01 a.m. This is what they said: the state of Sterling being hurt and cutting ties. Hello, Patreons. It's been quite some time since I wrote an update blog about your second best trash girl's various doings. For the most part, there's not a massive amount of exciting stuff going on in my neck of the dumpster. I'm mostly ticking along, doing some videos I'm super proud of. Wrestling is going tremendously. All told, not bad. That said, there's one major change, and while the long-term result will be positive, the circumstances are, to put it bluntly, really shitty. Some of you have already noticed that the past couple weeks I've edited the Jimquisition videos myself. That is because I'm no longer associated with my former artist and editor, Justin McDaniel. This association ended due to exploitative and abusive behavior. I had tolerated this behavior towards me for some time and didn't listen to people around me who warned me I was being mistreated. It was not until others came forward to tell me that they were being treated the same way that I was accepted what that happened. Okay. So you decide to, you know, fire them when it was the most convenient. That's the way I'm seeing it. Like, That's the way I could only see it. Like, you have all these people like try to befriend him and then just say like, oh, I want you to tell me what they tell about me, say anything about me. I want to know about it. And they tell them about it, and they get mad at poor Justin. Like, I, I know there's some certain circumstances that, like, what's the word I'm looking for here, that could take the flow out of, obviously, like, taking the flow out of the process of making a film, like, doing something of that nature that takes the process out out of a certain flow. And like, I'll say this, as someone that who does filming, that who has done filming before, there's times where I'll sit there and get frustrated with certain outside circumstances, and I'll just have to sit there and go, okay, hold on, let me just sit back real quick and just breathe on this. Let me get some understanding of what's going on, and let me like regather my thinking, my thoughts here, my thinking thoughts. Okay, there we go. Name of Angry Slug's next book. Okay, we'll call it that, right? Um, the fact that we that you've done this, and you're not immediately denying certain things that have happened. And I have a feeling there is going to be a Jimquisition video based off of this. It surprises me. Like, it surprises me that they say that Justin McDaniel, who moved all your shit from Mississippi to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, EDP 445 land. Want a fist bump? I was just only coming there for a cupcake. Obviously, that happened before you moved in, but that's like I'm roughly guesstimating here. That's like almost depending on if you were at the bottom of the boot or at the top of the boot, we're talking maybe 3,500 miles. We're talking maybe 3,500 miles plus. That's a 11-hour drive. Like, are we not going to pretend for 1 second that doesn't exist? That they decided, you know what, I'm going to go with my boss to this place, and hopefully try to keep this now I'm just honestly going to call it this lit on fire dumpster with actually, let me rephrase this. It's a dumpster fire inside of a trash can fire inside of a dumpster fire. Okay, that's how. And it's moving quite along. It's beating the runaway Prius. Okay, that's how mind-boggling this is to me. That you preach about, like, all these people doing crunch hours and everything like that. You're not even paying the motherfucker to do more than $1,800. Honestly, not even $1,800. I would pay this man just for the amount of hours they're doing about almost $2,200. Not even $3,500 a month. I would rather go hungry if I was the creator than let my people who help me make all these different things and do all these certain projects and make sure that it's clear as mud is a perfect recording, and it's shot from a good point here. See, I'm making references here. Um, I'm I rather pay them before I get paid. And if I have to, like, I don't know, some people, I can remember people literally paying for renting places instead of or doing contract for deed, or like or even like moving to a state that's like a little bit closer to home and a little bit cheaper, than thinking like, okay, Philadelphia, it's cheaper up there. No, it isn't. I bet if you go from like Philadelphia all the way up, you could probably do a whole research thing about how much rent is up there, just for like even a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment, and it'll be almost $1,800 a month. And that's not even including power and electric and trash. That's how much I find this absolutely mind-boggling, that they would say that they ended their association because of exploitive and abusive behavior. You're the one that who exploited them when they gave you the idea, because you could have hired movers to grab your stuff and go up to Philadelphia. That would have been eight. I think the justice said it was like 32. Hold on, I'll actually read that part. Let's see here. See, hold on. It would have been more expensive. The plans that were not to stay together. But you could not expect a global pandemic to start right as you move across the country. It was a scary perspective for me as someone who's lived in Mississippi their whole life, but they gave me some reassurances. They could stay for me for free. Okay, you let them stay with you for free. You know how big of a deal that is? You know, if you weren't so uptight about keeping the ship up, like keeping this image of, oh, I'm for the people, I fight for the people, I fight for the gamer. Like honestly, like, and just thinking about like watching back your content a lot, I've only watched certain videos, like your most recent video about AI technology. That was one of those videos that I really just sat there and went, you know what, they got a point there, and I appreciate that. All the other videos are just kind of more opinion pieces of like, oh, well, these guys are evil because they're a AAA game and they did crunch, yet you're doing crunch to this poor motherfucker. That's where I that's where my gears get grinded. That's how much I feel about it. Anyway, so she's so here he goes. I confronted him and cut ties with him over a week ago. I'd just been trying to process the whole thing and work on how to talk about it. I could say I put up with a lot over the years. I put up with theft. I put up with manipulative behavior. I put up with being talked about, being talked about incredibly hurtfully behind my back. Incredibly hurtfully. Of course, they're going to talk to you about you behind your back because they work for you. Because you became more of their enemy than their friend or their boss. Like I've worked with bosses that are like that. And most of the time those bosses, the only reason why they were acting that way was because their bosses on top were just as stressed. You're not working under anyone. So you have no excuse to like literally be stressed about things. Now I could actually I take that back. I could sit there and go, you know what? The process of you becoming James Stephanie Sterling instead of just sticking to being James Sterling, that could be a stress inducing thing. That I could agree that is a very stressing inducing thing. Moving from one country, one state to another, that is a very, very, very stressful process. But you went to a wrestling show that Saturday. That weekend that you guys were gonna move all the way up to Philadelphia, and then boom, COVID hit. Who would have thunk it? Like, I would be, see, now if I was in the situation that you're like a 800,000 subscriber, you were a million subscriber at your peak. You know, you just celebrated that you're back at 800,000 followers on YouTube. You know, you're celebrating your downfall. You shouldn't be expecting people to do your work for you. You shouldn't. You should be you should be like putting your head down in the dirt and grinding it out. Because hell, if I found out that I was an 800,000 subscriber YouTube channel and my numbers were going down, I'd be thinking of new ways to make money, taking sponsorship ads. And I know how you feel about the sponsorship ads. I don't like them just as much as you do, but you know what? If it's to help feed someone else's mouth, I'll do it. Like, I remember for many years, like I follow, like for instance, I follow Linus Tech Tips. They never took any type of sponsorship money. It wasn't until I think this was about I really didn't notice it till like maybe 2013, 14. I think I would say, honestly, I'll just stick with 2014. That was when I started seeing them start do sponsor reads. I never understood it until I started do commentary, and I understood why people did it. It was because it's the quickest way to make a buck in case either the video goes down, you're not monetized, or you're just doing it just because you actually like the product. I know, for instance, what's the Secret Labs chairs that you guys really enjoy. You really like those chairs. Like Linus likes those chairs. So I could understand why he'll do multiple ad reads for them. Like there's not a day where not a month actually, that I won't see at least 2 or 3 ads on all your different platforms that Linus Sebastian does his shows on, or his shorts or anything like that. But I would be doing that. I would honestly be doing that. Anyway, when you find out the guy that you pay around $30 to $40 an hour for an average of 2 to 3 part days a week, with breaks literally whenever wanted, is telling people you're overworking and underpaying him and taking their money while you've been lending them cash without expectations of back pay, of payback. And after you spent 6 rent-free months in your home, well, let me tell you guys, it hurts. Okay, hold on. You offered to let them stay at your house rent-free to save a little cash. Like, I don't know who you're bullshitting here, James Stephanie Sterling, but you're not bullshitting me on this. No one doesn't, like I said, no one, especially when COVID hit, when everything started locking down, no one didn't deserve to not be put in a extremely shitty situation like you put him in. That's where I draw the line. Pay your people very well. Be the last one to get the money, especially if it's a video editor and someone who does multiple odd jobs for you. Like they said, they were doing Jimquisitions, Jimpressions. They were doing the Podquisition. That alone, like, especially audio, like podcast editing. Like right now, if I asked someone from, like, let's say Cumtown, or someone like from Two Bears One Cave, there's someone they're paying an editor like more than probably double, a very seasoned editor, double that amount of money. Now, granted, I think I'm gonna give benefit of the doubt here and say they picked up Justin McDaniel because they were just doing it as a hobby leading up to taking this job. Like, because obviously they were working a dead-end 9-to-5 job. Okay, you know, but this doesn't work. This is not how you this is not how you treat your employees. I'm not entirely comfortable sharing all the details of his exploitations of others, though they're largely the same. I was told about emotional abuse, manipulation, objectifying, and enabling behavior, and a general pattern of selfishness at their expense. I wonder why. They have a general pattern of selfishness. For the time being, my husband Phoenix is working on the Jimquisition graphics. The new work in progress logo is theirs, as have been the past two intros and outros. Conrad has taken over the editing Podquisition, and I'm doing all the video show editing like I used to back in the day. Creatively, I think this worked out nicely. A lot of editing that commenters praise in recent times was stuff that I've done myself. People that just assume that it was just because he had the main editor credit. I'm also just really, really good at cobbling together this kind of content. I'm not a technically proficient or artistically skilled, but when it comes to adding engaging visuals to an audio track with just the right amount of pacing and style, I rate myself fairly high. The fact that our AI episodes is editing gotten so many compliments has really pleased me. Long term, I'm gonna go to bring on another editor, at least as a backup. There's some stuff I just can't do, and an extra set of hands alleviates a lot of the pressure when my weekends are dominated by wrestling bookings. Please be aware I'm not taking applications unless otherwise stated. I've got people in mind already. Okay, I just want to say this: the fact that I'm not even going to say the fact. This is it. You said that you're hurt by this, and then you don't want to go into the details of his exploitations. Like, this is your opportunity to throw out receipts. This is your opportunity to throw out, like, okay, he's saying that I'm doing this. Well, here's a receipt that says this. You should be throwing out receipts. I honestly bet Justin has receipts of you doing things that you should never ever do. As someone who's the lead of a directing studio or a project like Jimquisition. I think this is working creatively. I think creatively, I think this is working out nicely. Okay. Long term, I'm gonna already did that one. You might have figured by now, but this is all this is why past the past 2 episodes has gone up a lot later than usual. The sudden change, the need for new graphics, and overall emotional stress has been a lot to handle. I'm proud to say that we still don't miss a Monday. Since we're here, I might as well get something quasi related off my chest that I've carried for a long time. It's been dredging up by all this, and I feel the need to get it out. I've never mentioned that what I'm about to talk about publicly before. I'm a previous victim of financial abuse. For many years, I was in a situation where I did not have control of my own money. I was denied access to bank accounts. What money I could spend was monitored, etc. I was essentially a resource where my agency was not a concern. My value consisted of what money I could bring in, which was never seen as enough. It's easy to take advantage of me, really, too. I'm willing to believe in my own incompetence and glom into someone who is better than me. I'm very easily gaslit, and I'm very terrible at self-advocacy. The short of it is that after I actually got myself out of this abusive relationship, I was left with over $100,000 in debt that has been building up without my knowledge, consent, or control. Contrary to what some people love to claim that I'm not rich, that is not true to begin with. The Patreon figures is never reflective of what I take home after failed transactions, fees, taxes, and paying the people I work with, etc. But I can't emphasize this enough. When I lost everything, I lost everything. My grandparents meant the world to me, and even they left me, and everything they left me has been lost on this as well. I never wanted to say anything about it, and as desperate as it got, as devastating as it was, I can't tell you why. Fee offered me a list of reasons why an abuse victim doesn't speak up. I could probably just throw a dart at it. Let's see. Thanks to several huge lucky breaks, losing everything I had, and a massive amount of accounting, sales, help from my husband and Conrad, I have somewhat clawed myself out of the woods. Those quote gays can do whatever they want shirts may have quite genuinely rescued me. That said, I'm still recovering both materially and emotionally. More than the money, being solely responsible for the consequences of what someone else did to me has been a level of pain that I can't adequately describe. He knew this. And when he told me that he wanted to be paid more, when he told others I underpaid him, he knew my past history. It's probably the part that hurts the most. I couldn't afford to keep him, but I kept him, and never once considered so much as paying him less, even when I was advised to drop him. And I'd been made to feel so guilty about not taking care of him that when I was struggling the most, I raised his pay. I felt responsible. I never felt like it was enough. There's a lot of shame. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there for a minute. So you couldn't. You felt like you couldn't. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to mentally understand this here. So when people were telling you like, hey, drop him, you should probably drop him because he's wanting more money, you can't afford it. They had your best intentions to help you with that. I'm not saying here for a minute that they all had maybe a beef with Justin. Maybe there was something that was said in the office. Maybe there was something said in the office. Like Harold was called a cunt. Someone was called the F slur. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know Justin McDaniel from Adam and Eve. But the fact that he's going into more detail about how the fact that these people that you were surrounding yourself with in the office, and not only that, surrounding him around with, thinking that, oh, they were going to be your friends and all that. I honestly think that Justin has every right to be mad because he never really had anyone on his side. He never really had anyone on his side. You know, honestly, if this was being said way back, even when you guys were in Mississippi, honestly, I would have just dropped him right then and there and just say, "Hey, look, I'll get you on special projects and everything like that, but I'll have to take the brunt of it for right now. My apologies. Here's a severance package. Good luck." But you dragged him on for multiple years. Multiple years. I've been made to let's see here. You know, is probably probably the part that hurts most. I couldn't afford to keep him, but I kept him. Never once considered as so much as paying him less than what I was advised when I was advised to drop him. And when I was made feel for not so guilty about not taking care of him, that was when I was struggling the most. I raised this bay. I felt responsible. I never felt like it was enough. So basically, what you're trying to say, I think what you're trying to say here, James Stephine Sterling, is that you're claiming he was a dick rider. Like they were taking a ride on the cape, so to speak, on Superman's cape. Or Superwoman, super person's insert superhero cape. Like insert like your favorite DC or Marvel superhero here. That's what it sounds like to me. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right in my head. And just like I said, you have the advantage here. His stuff came out a lot earlier from what I've been understood. You're just now getting a hold of this. You're just now sharing this. You know, I don't know. I read his accounts of his behavior from other people, and that I accept what had happened to me. It's like they held up a mirror when they described how they've been made to feel. I'm eternally grateful they came forward. As much as I'm horribly sorry they had to be involved at all, they asked to have their privacy respected. I'm not bringing them any further into this. Once again, I'm incredibly thankful for them. It's just so sad. I've always turned angry, feeling ashamed, feeling afraid. More than anything, I just feel sad. Anyway, all this took more words than I planned. The post was not meant to be dominated by that. In truth, I wanted to say nothing. I wanted to say it was just go away, but that's nothing. But that's not something I feel I get to do. I want to thank V, Conrad, Jane, and Laura, as well as my friends Ollie and Mark, who also supported me while dealing with this. As much as this stuff can damage your ability to trust, I try not to let myself be too guarded. This has opened me up to be hurt. It also allowed me to have support, and I would trade away. Moving on, and alongside organizational change, I think the Jim Inquisition itself is really having a positive stuff, creative stuff towards positivity. Blah blah blah. Talking about special was I made a concentrated effort to have the show be less depressing, with subject matter more in the lines of a lot of fans said they preferred. Shockingly, the addressing all the real reasons I'm losing subs, except for the reason I've put forth. Has it changed anything? However, since the new year, I could confidently say I've been doing some of my best work to date, and to some degree, yes. Um, this is especially true in recent weeks. My episode on Hogwarts was incredibly difficult to make, but the response has been tremendous, with many calling it the best succulent presentation of the game's problems they've seen. It's made all the resulting harassment from transphobes and rallying simps, same difference, worth it. So okay, the 800K was similarly tough episode. especially as I had just had the Justin bomb drop on me, but the end result was so good. I'm still buried under a mountain of supporting responses from viewers. Thanks so much. Then we did this week's AI video. Felt need to prove that I could edit the show better on my own with a little help from Neon 35-2. Let's see here. I've coped with some shitty stuff lately, but at the same time, I've felt a fire lit under me. I've never been as creatively invested in my work since forever. There will be some cool stuff coming. I could tell you that something recently started stirring in the basement as a spoon might stir a certain corn-based cereal. At night, I hear it wail, the pain and terror, the nutrition. I think I'll wrap it up for now, but I got some reviews in the works. Hopefully, I'll have ones written for Kirby and Octopath 2. Yeah, that's pretty much their response to it. Honestly, I can. I honestly don't know what to think about that. Like, hold on, let me double click that so I can fix it. Honestly, my opinion is just, they're not wrong in, like, if they felt like they were being attacked, like, call the person out. Like, call the person out in a meeting with a mutual person, not like a yes person, not someone with the I'm gonna be the crawdad up your ass. I'm basically gonna be your pirate to your parrot to your pirate and all that against Justin. And I hope Justin McDaniel actually does get some work, because I feel like he got the raw end of the stick. Like, he should have been suffering with that. And I do hope Justin McDaniel is doing okay. I know in the update he said that he is in the last part of it, he is back home with family and all that, and I'm happy that he's back home with family. But my thoughts on this is, honestly, I think Stephie Sterling does need to work on themselves a lot more. And I feel like this was an emotional attack on Justin McDaniel. I think if there was a response to, like, an actual proper, like, I'm sitting down and actually, like, looking through the texts and sitting there going, like, okay, I can admit I did this wrong and I apologize. This response was more than just like, oh, well, no, they're the asshole, pointing the finger back at them. Like, no, they're the asshole. They're the asshole. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Like I respect Jim Stephine Sterling for a lot of brutal honesty over games. Over the years, there's a few games that I will absolutely play to death. I will say this, as they mentioned the Hogwarts Legacy episode, that was probably the first time I actually feel like that was a huge disagreement. I absolutely do not agree with the statement that, anyone who plays the Hogwarts Legacy game is a transphobe. And if people who are just playing it just to play it and they're being called transphobes, they shouldn't be called transphobes at all. They should be, honestly, they should be getting the same amount of respect that a lot of people should demand. Like, that's just me being honest. But that is the topic. That is the topic. Where am I getting? Why am I getting pinged to two separate Discords? Oh, okay. I can understand that one. That one I don't. All right. Well, let me go into doing the AOA. All right. Destiny 2. By the way, Slug, no, you stinky. Okay. I can never be stinky. I am overpowering. All right. Well, let's see.
Always nice to see Ikora. While we're over here, we should check in with the Drifter. You may be wondering who leads the Hunters. See, we lost Cade 6, our Hunter Vanguard, a while back. Killed by a man named Uldren Sov. It was a difficult time. Now no Hunter wants to take his place.
You Guardians inspired me to step up.
I can think. How you living? Watch your back out there, brother.
See, the thing about Drifter is, he's unique. Let's leave it at that.
What do you mean he's unique? basically playing the second part of this, the tutorial part of it. Like,
Anyway, Zavala's asking us to visit the gunsmith next. His name is Banshee44, our resident firearms expert.
What do you think? Till next time.
Last stop is Master Rahul, the Tower Cryptarch. That's short for crypto-archaeologist.
crypto
Shall we begin then?
archaeologists. Okay.
That about wraps it up. There are still people in the tower to meet, but you can do that at your own pace. Zavala sent me a message saying he has a mission ready for you. Check in with him if that sounds interesting, or we can just explore. In any case, I'm with you till the end. You take the lead.
Well, Gregory, I'm with you till the end. Oh my goodness. Alright, so let's go to that.
Greetings.
Alright. So doing the strike.
High broods value strength over all else. When you and Shaw forced Navota to flee, you weakened her position.
She'll be desperate for victory to regain her footing.
That desperation makes her a threat in the Cosmodrome and beyond. This is a worthy challenge for you, Guardian.
Cass and Maeve gave their final deaths fighting Navota. That can't be for nothing.
It won't be.
Steady. I know how those nerves feel. Pack it away. Eyes down the sights.
Oh, they're starting the party without me. Can't greatly appreciate it. Oh. Woo! Oh my! Oh, hi. Nice.
Fallen raiding party ahead. You don't seem thrilled about Navota's presence.
I appreciate you, Steve.
Woo! Oh, the fuck? Oh shit! Ooh! All right.
I'm reading dense hive signatures in a facility up ahead.
Navota is gathering a swarm.
We might be walking into a trap.
That's the gig. We carry the light where no one else can. the rest of Navota's hiding spots. She's got nowhere to run.
A well-crafted snare.
Just doing my part. It's in your hands now, Guardian. All right, take her down.
Shit. Shit. Almost. Got him. Oh fuck. I don't know where I went. Help. Oh. Woo! Oh shit! Oh, I exploded. Thank you. No. Oh, shit. Get away from me. Ooh, someone doesn't like me. It's those knights. Ooh. Ooh. Send up the Kobe shots.
Cass, Maeve, they can rest easier now, thanks to you.
Couldn't have done it without you, Shaw.
Maybe. Don't sell yourself short. I see a spark in you, Guardian. Make sure you keep it safe. Don't let it get to your head, okay? This is only the beginning of your story.
Excellent work. Return to the tower.
Joybringer. Because I actually knew what the hell I was doing.
Novota is no more. And you have continued to impress us with your ongoing successes, Guardian. With help from Guardians like you, we have come to a greater understanding of the truth. The darkness is not what we first assumed. Like the light, it is a powerful tool of paracausal energy. Despite my earlier misgivings, we have learned how to harness it to help humanity. Just as our enemies have found ways to wield the light against us. What we once thought was the darkness, the vile entity responsible for our great collapse, is now known to us as the Witness. For the first time in hundreds of years, the Traveler left the last city to directly confront it in Earth's orbit. And the Vanguard needs you now more than ever. Come see me for some important assignments, Guardian.
son. Download stream.